Ladies and gentlemen, live from Hollywood, California at the Improv Studios, it's The Nighttime Show. Tonight, The Nighttime Show welcomes our head writer, Matt Walker. We also have a very special guest, character actor and kick-ass performer, star of Burn Notice, Something So Right, Dear John, Justified, and Angie Tribeca, Jere Burns. And now, the star of The Nighttime Show and the brightest star in 5 galaxies, Stephen Kramer Glickman!
My favorite thing I've ever seen in my life is you said character actor, and Jere Burns went, character actor? The fuck did he just say?
What?
Motherfucker.
Leading man.
Really?
Character actor. Leading man, Jere
Leading
Burns.
man, Jere Burns.
Well, you could say leading man.
Well,
it is
you're-
a comedy show of
Star
sorts,
of
right?
cinema.
You do play a lot of
Matinee
characters, though.
idol.
Totally.
A lot of
I
weird.
was making a joke.
I know. Fucking
That was really
brilliant.
funny.
That was amazing. I love it.
Would have been better if I just threw the shit down and walked out the door.
That's it. I'm out of here.
And there he goes.
How dare you?
Thank you, Jere Burns. Good night.
Trust us, he was here.
It's amazing to have you on the show. We're all big
It's nice
fans
to
of
be
you for different reasons. We'll have our own shows that we're big fans of. I know Mike watched you a lot on Justified.
I watched every single episode of Justified, and I love that show. And your character, more than any,
Oh.
don't take offense to this, was the one that I wanted to see the comeuppance for. More.
Really?
He was the guy that I was like, I want him
Oh
to
no!
die.
I'm
He's
saying,
so evil.
I thought he was going in a totally
No, you
different
were-
direction.
but you were so
I thought
good.
Your character, beyond any of the other characters, was the one. Yeah, I didn't see that
changed
coming.
my life.
Fuck you.
And then Matt over here. Matt is a huge,
I've
massive
been
fan.
obsessed with Dear John for the last 3 years. They show it late at night on
He
Antenna
won't
TV.
shut up about the show.
I keep telling him, I was like,
yeah.
you got to stay up till 2 in the morning and watch
Oh my
Dear
God.
John.
On
It's,
what channel?
Antenna TV.
Okay.
Digital channel 5.2 in Los
Yeah,
Angeles. You can
never
watch it over
heard of
there.
it.
It's on right after The Ropers. I'll have you know.
Don't know what that is either.
Jeffrey Tambor was in the spin-off from Three's Company
Okay.
called The Ropers,
Oh,
which
okay.
lasted all of 6 months, I think. But no, the character of Kirk Morris.
Pop quiz.
Yes.
What show were Jeffrey Tambor and I either season regulars or recurring characters?
Max Headroom.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're that
We want to
good.
talk about that.
Fuck,
We're
you
that
guys- You
good.
guys are geeks.
Yeah.
Yes. But by the way,
Okay,
Kirk
so
Morris,
Kirk Morris.
on
Kirk
Dear
Morris,
John,
yeah.
I rank in my top 10 favorite TV characters of all time. It's right there with
Oh,
Al
thank
Bundy.
you.
It was just so funny.
So you didn't want to see Kirk have his comeuppance?
No, no. I wanted
Okay.
Kirk to stick it to everyone.
Thank you.
And there was the episode. Well, okay, we'll get into it later.
Okay,
We're gonna
all right.
get into Dear John. So.
Before we really get it started in this, and first things first, where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Okay. Did
Home of Harvard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
I just learned that. I didn't notice in my whole childhood. But
No one ever said.
Then I found out. Yeah.
Did you have a family that was in the entertainment industry, or how
No,
did
God,
this
no.
how did this get started? Tell us the beginning. How
I
did this
think
happen?
what happened was, it's kind of boring, but I think,
No.
my dad was a businessman. My mother worked at Harvard Law School, and they liked the theater, so they used to drag me and my brother to the theater.
What kind of plays would you go? Musicals, plays? What
Yeah,
would you
we'd
say?
go see. We'd go see. I remember my dad dragging me and Chip to see the Macbeth, the Scottish play at Boston
Sure.
College. I remember going to the Music Man
Oh, yeah.
at the Melody tent in Hyannisport. I remember just going to. I remember seeing. We were little boys and we saw Hair.
Oh,
Yeah, and little boys. I mean, little, and those people took their fucking clothes off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and with the winter bush on the.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
It was,
What was that car ride home like?
I'd never seen anything like it. I had never seen anything like it. I don't think my parents knew that. I don't know how.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But of course, I say I don't know how. But you didn't know. They didn't know a lot of shit then. There wasn't the internet.
Yeah.
If you didn't read the right review of Hair and find out, and, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I know my mom took me to see Hair when I was about 8 years old, and I was like boobs, boobs, boobs. The whole time I was just like, "There's boobs. There's so many boobs."
What about
boobs.
the bush? What about the bush?
I don't think it was not completely nude. Not
What?
Not full. I think they went topless, and
Where
then
was
men
that?
went
Canada,
bottomless.
right?
Yeah, Canada. It was just too cold. Yeah. No, it was in San Diego in like a community theater production of Hair.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
you know, it
okay.
wasn't
Because it's right in
Broadway.
the script. You know, it's
Yeah.
right in the script. You know,
I know.
Did it say "show your bush" in the
the
script? Is that
winter
like-
bush.
Oh,
they
okay.
say. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say that, but and I didn't see it on Broadway. I think I saw it at the Wilbur Theater in Boston. But anyway, that's wild. We both
Did
saw
you
it as
see
children.
any Broadway shows when you were a kid, or did you ever get to go?
Yeah, I mean, we went to New York. I don't remember seeing anything on the Broadway, but I just remember going to a lot of plays, and I remember, we were in that production of The Music Man, and my dad tells a story like that. We were in this production, and the audience was just dead. They weren't the actors were getting nothing from the audience. And there's a scene where all these men are on a train, like chugging into a station,
Yeah.
and they're all holding on to some, an imaginary strap, and then the train comes to a stop, and they all smash into each other. And I guess my brother and I, just fucking cracked up like lunatics, and the audience laughed at us laughing at that.
Great.
And then they had the audience because the
Loosen 'em
audience
up.
kind of unwound. And I remember going, whoa, recognizing that, we got the
Oh, that you
audience,
turned
that
it
I
around.
got the audience to laugh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
You
wait a
changed the
minute.
whole course of the entire night.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't care about that. What I cared about was they reacted to me.
Right.
Do you know what I
That's
mean?
very
And
cool.
I think something got planted there. And then I went to high school and I played sports. But then we had a great it was a small private school, and we had a great theater department.
Mhm.
So like in 10th, 11th, 12th grade, even 9th grade, we were doing like really cool plays. I think the first one was the Cane Mutiny Court Martial that I was ever in,
Wow.
but that was like in 9th grade. And then, by 11th grade, 10th grade, we were doing Chekhov and Shakespeare and,
Nice.
yeah.
That's heavy
And
stuff for
Sartre.
teenagers.
Yeah. But it was when was this? It was like the 70s, where people, especially in Cambridge, Massachusetts, kids were getting
Yeah.
exposed intellectually to stuff
Sure.
that,
That's great. Like really well-rounded sort of
yeah.
theater
Yeah.
background.
I mean, we'd gone through as elementary schoolers and middle schoolers, the late 60s. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
They
Oh
were
my God,
they
I
were
can-
burning shit down. Harvard Square had no
Jesus.
glass in any of the storefronts for it seemed like 2 years in the late 60s, and I used to have to take they just because every time they put new glass in, the demonstrations would just
smash it.
destroy
man.
everything. Everything was all
Wow.
boarded up. So I was used to going to school in the late 60s on the public transportation, with boarded up windows, tear gas kind of still hanging to the walls of Harvard Yard, and like walking, so I was used to there was a revolution in this country, and
Yeah.
I was a young kid during it. So, Romeo and Juliet didn't seem like that big a deal. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah. Totally.
That's amazing when you think like your generation saw like the first guy killed on TV and like
We saw
the
we,
moon landing and stuff.
we had
you
a
know.
president killed on our.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's
had
just
him
amazing.
we had his brother, and then we had Martin Luther King, and we
Oh
were
my
just
God.
it was just like we were little kids, and they were
Yeah.
just slaying all the people that our parents,
Looked up to.
Yeah,
who represented, the United States of America to us.
Mhm.
right.
Do you know what I mean? That's what.
Especially being in the
God.
Boston area, having that happen to both the Kennedys, it must have been even.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
yeah, if you were Irish or Catholic or you were Democrat, and the
Yeah.
Kennedys were like everybody had a had a picture of JFK in their living room, or every family and every grandparent, they all had we didn't have a crucifix, but we had crucifixes in our room, but there was always that picture of JFK. That was a staple.
Yeah, like talk about
Wow.
like during World War II, every household in America had a portrait of FDR on their wall.
Yeah.
Like it was just like a thing. Every household in America just had it during
Who
World War II.
who puts a portrait of the president on their wall?
Just-
Yeah,
Yeah.
When-
Yeah.
like now it's done out of irony, but like
right.
Yeah.
back then it was a serious thing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Have you ever, as an actor, gotten to work on a project that took place in that time period of your
No.
youth?
Mm-mm.
Is that something that you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I was obsessed with the whole, by the time I got to high school and then college, I was obsessed with the whole Kennedy assassination conspiracy theories. I got in on the ground floor of that. That fascinated me because I remember as a kid, like my parents had a copy of the Warrant Report. Do you guys know what the Warrant Report?
Yeah,
It was a Warrant Report. That was like open and shut. This is what happened. Oswald was alone. This is how it happened. And I remember just like looking through that as a little kid, like trying to. And then when I started to hear all this other stuff, I went to a lecture, probably 19 years old, about the given by the Assassination Information Bureau, they called themselves.
Wow.
And they would tour all the colleges, and there's so many colleges, and we went to hear me and a buddy went to hear him speak at BC one time, and it was just blew my mind. So.
Did you meet Oliver Stone there or anything like that?
No, this is way before he was.
Yeah.
He was. Where was he?
I'm sure he must have been into it. At
He
that
was a
time,
kid.
but yeah.
He was a kid.
Yeah.
No, this is when he was a kid too.
Now, after all of this, is there a theory that you subscribe to currently?
No, I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
yeah.
I can't see. I mean, I still can't believe that Oswald was able to do what they allege he was able to do. But I don't know how many people were involved in. I mean, there were so many entities out to kill JFK.
Yeah. Anytime they've tried to recreate someone pulling those shots off, it just looks impossible.
Yeah, especially with the rifle that he did it with. That was like
the bolt action, sort of.
I've always liked the Full Metal Jacket explanation where they talk about in the one scene Arlie Ermey's talking to the troops, and he's like talking about like, hey, did you know about Charles Whitman? And they talk about him at the top of the book tower in Texas, and he's like he shot 14 people with a whatever rifle, and he's like, Lee Harvey Oswald, do you know who that is? He's like, he shot the president, sir. Yeah. And he's like, do you know where these two men learned how to shoot? In the Marines. It's like, that just shows you what one motivated Marine and his rifle can do.
Wow, that's great.
God.
And that's in Full Metal Jacket?
Yeah,
Wow.
I forgot.
You know
about
what?
that.
In Full Metal Jacket, side note, the actor that played Doc in Full Metal Jacket,
Yeah.
do you remember that guy? And he gets shot a bunch of times at the end.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen a movie that came out in 1987 yet, sorry.
About Vietnam.
Spoiler alert.
One of the soldiers gets shot a lot.
Yes, this is a very quick story, but true. He was my acting teacher when I was in acting school, like as in college, like acting school. And he told the story that after they finished wrapping that movie, he thought he was like.
What's the actor's name?
We can look it up. real
Okay.
quick. Can you pull it up?
It's not someone we would have ever heard of.
No, he hasn't really worked ever since.
Okay.
Your
So
acting
I don't
teacher
care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
who had
matter.
left such an impression on you that we're going to look
But
him up
somehow
on IMDb.
but somehow he got into that movie.
He was in the movie and he played Doc in the
Okay.
movie. And in Full Metal Jacket. And so when they were wrapping the movie, he decided to be like, "Hey, screw all y'all. I'm a big deal. I'm gonna shave my head into a mohawk." And so he shaved his head into a mohawk to go to the premiere of Full
John
Metal Jacket.
Stafford.
That is who it is. Yes.
Wow.
So John Stafford shaved his head into a mohawk so that he could go to the premiere with a mohawk. And the day before the premiere, he had an audition for Big, for the Tom Hanks role in Big. And they brought him in and they looked at him and they said, why is your hair like that? And he said, because I'm in Full Metal Jacket. I'm the best. And they were like, get the fuck out of here. And his agent dropped him. And whoever else was repping him dropped him, and he literally didn't work for like 20 years after that.
It's never a good idea to shave your head too prematurely because I did a play. I got my equity card at the New York Shakespeare Festival, and the play we did was Don Juan by Moliere,
Oh,
and it was directed by Richard Foreman, who was like this. He was just the craziest. Experimental director that's pretty much ever come through New York, and his theater company still exists today, the Hysterical Ontological Theater Company or whatever. Anyway, we were all in period dress, it was to be done completely in period, and Don Juan, he would give directions like John Seitz, who played Don Juan. I wonder what it would be like if Don Juan walked like a crab. So he set really early on that Don Juan had to walk like a crab, and he could never he could, and he had to walk in right angles. So if he wanted to, like a crab. So if he wanted to go over there, he had to go
sideways.
up there, and that's how. Anyway,
Wow.
it was just a crazy production. But we were all these like sort of ensemble kids who were getting their equity cards straight out of school, and there's this one guy who was just like crazy, but they hired him because he was just, he was kind of moving because he was so crazy. Well, he used to say inappropriate things, blah blah blah. And Richard said we were all going to have to wear bald pates in the show because at one point in the show we all had like Elizabethan costumes and long wigs, but at one point Richard had us all stand out there, all of the ensemble, and at some beat, we all just went and pulled our wigs off to expose a bald head.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm thinking about it. This is a stupidly boring story.
No, that's great.
But he said he told us, so we are going to do the bald pate thing. I mean, we are going to do the bald thing. Now you can shave your heads, or you can just wear bald pates. I will say, it's going to be humid New York nights. The Delacorte is outside. You're in Central Park. It's like an incredible thing.
My God.
You're outside, but it's humid. It's like 80 degrees some nights and humid. And so you have on a bald pate, then you have on a wig. I mean, it was fucking brutal. Yeah. So this one guy who was weird, he decided to shave his head. He was the only one of us who shaved his head. He shaved his head. And the next day in rehearsal, he gave Richard Foreman a note on Richard's Foreman, and he was gone. Similar to your story. He got fired, they replaced him, and he now was out there auditioning with a bald head. Much like your
God.
Similar story.
That's
long
hard.
way to go.
No,
Forgive me. You
Now,
can cut that out.
Did you study acting in college?
No, I was an English major.
Oh, really? Where'd you go?
UMass Amherst.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was really hoping you were going to end with, and that guy was, and it was going to be someone amazing.
And that was
John Denfeld.
Real quick before we continue, Matt, I was over at the Grove, and
it's a happening place.
Yeah, we were there together. We were
went
having
there this weekend.
It was such a nice time. We were hanging out. We went over to the Cheesecake Factory, and we had a little lunch over there. And then I went to the bar. I know you took off, but I went to the bar and hung out a little bit. I ended up having a fireball moment, which was pretty pretty cool.
What happened this time?
Graham, you ever have a fireball moment?
Yeah.
Do you know what that is? Do you know what a fireball? I'll explain it to you.
Is it that whiskey?
Yeah. Here's what happens is, Graham, and Matt knows. Sometimes when you drink Fireball whiskey, things just get heightened. Everything gets a little crazier. The world, opens up. You see things that you never would see before. And so I'm over there. I had 2 shots, like I normally do, and then started walking around the Grove. I'm out, and I was shopping. I was walking around, there's kids and people with their dogs. There's lots of dogs around and stuff. Yeah. And I turned down a corner that I'd never been down before. It's over by where the C's Candy Shop is. I turned down that corner. As I'm walking down that little alleyway, I know it's going to sound weird, but I saw a unicorn.
A unicorn?
Like an actual unicorn. And I thought maybe it was just like a horse and then somebody like stuck something on. Yeah. It is a real unicorn. It had rainbow. Hey, its hair was rainbows and it sparkled, and it had an actual horn coming out of its head, and it talked. It could talk, which is crazy, right?
Wow.
I was like,
what did it say?
Well, I said, oh my God, is that a unicorn?
Yes, it is.
Oh wow, you can talk?
Of course.
Wow, this is amazing. I had no idea that unicorns could talk.
Well, we can.
Wow, it's really
we can do all sorts of stuff.
Really? What else can you do? What else can you
talk. I can release marshmallows from a butt.
Oh my gosh! Can I have one of those?
Sure. Hang on, just a sec.
Oh my! Oh, hang on.
Did you eat a unicorn butt marshmallow?
I actually ate about 4 unicorn butt marshmallows, and it was amazing.
Each one's a different flavor.
Oh, they were so good. It was like Fruity Pebbles. It was just so delicious. It was like Lifesavers. You know how you think that they're all different? They look like different flavors, but then they kind of all taste the same, sort of. But it was just delicious, and better than anything at C's Candy. I'll tell you that. So then me and the unicorn, we started hanging out. We started wandering around the Grove.
Oh, there's that trolley I like.
Oh, yeah, I love that trolley.
Hi, kids. Hi, Mom, Dad,
Hey,
everybody.
hey, I'm with a unicorn.
Hi, Japanese businessman.
Hi, Japanese businessman, too. Nice
Have
to see
fun.
you. Yeah, oh, wow, man, I love that trolley. That's a good time. And then we took a little wander over to Barnes & Noble.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe that still exists, that place?
Yeah.
Man, that thing should be extinct. Huh? Right, unicorn?
That sure is right, Stephen. They keep asking me about it, getting a card, and they're $25 for one of them cards.
That's so
and
weird.
then it's like, well, if I'm getting a discount, what do I need to pay
Wait.
you $25
Wait,
to
the
get a
unicorn
discount
can
on?
read?
Yeah, oh, unicorns can do lots of things.
I thought unicorns were illiterate.
Oh, no, not this unicorn.
Wow.
This unicorn was a well-read unicorn.
I don't just
And,
sit around farting out marshmallows all day. I read books.
Yeah, so I actually said, hey, unicorn, would you like to have a shot of Fireball whiskey? Would you like, I don't know if
I
unicorns
would love
drink.
a shot of Fireball whiskey.
Well, here you go.
What's whiskey?
Oh, it's this great stuff. It's like cinnamon flavor. Try this out.
I'll give it a whirl. That is delicious.
And just like that, the unicorn died.
Wow.
Yeah, just right there in the middle of the trolley tracks, and then
Rest
the
in
trolley.
peace.
Yeah, the trolley came
Unicorn.
back and ran over the unicorn,
Wow.
and I'm not allowed to go to the Grove anymore. So we'll have to go somewhere
That's a
else.
hell of a fireball moment.
It was a hell of a Fireball moment, folks. And that's the best part about Fireball. You never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, let's get back into the show. So did you go how did you move from theater into television, or like, I know, what was your first television gig?
In college I was an English major, but they had a really good theater department there. I didn't want to major in drama, but I felt like I needed to be smart and get an English degree. Like that was gonna be practical. So I did that, but I used to audition for all of their plays, all their main stage plays. And, I had done enough acting in high school that I kind of knew what I didn't know what I was doing at all, but I had a lot of experience on stage.
Sure.
So I had no craft, I had no technique, but I had my instincts.
You had bravado.
I had bravado. I had instincts, and they were better than most of the guys in that department.
Sure.
I would get all the lead role. I'd get a lot of lead roles, and I played I did a lot of plays. I'd like do 2 plays a year. So by the time I got out of there, I'd done like 8 plays. And I was awful, but I was better than anyone else. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
I was
get you.
awful. The directors were awful, but it was a state school, and they had just built this performing arts center. So they had this amazing facility with amazing lights, and everything was computerized, and nothing had been computerized prior to that.
Sure,
it was like guys pulling on ropes and shit. And this is just pressing buttons and lights. And so we had like so I did that. And then at the end of, towards the end of college, I thought, I think I want to be an actor. Maybe I'll give that a shot. So I went to this guy, Dick Trousdale, who was a professor in the drama department. And I said, yeah, Dick. Oh, no. Before I went to Dick, I said, in the middle of my senior year, I went to Dick because I thought, like, I'm fucking so talented and so amazing. I went to Dick and I said, hey, listen, I think I might want to do something, create a production on my own here at the drama department. Because I just want to show off my talents. I probably didn't say it like that, but that's basic. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, what did you have in mind? And I said, well, what I was thinking of was a one-man show.
Great.
No, I had no idea. I didn't know what the fuck that meant.
Wow.
All I knew
You knew the term.
in my narcissistic, egotistical way, I just knew that meant all me all the time. And I'm like, yeah. So could you help me construct a one-man show? And I'm thinking they're going to put it on their schedule and stuff.
Right.
I don't know what. That's how insane I was. That's how
love
fucking
it.
full of just the fucking actor's ego, narcissism.
Oh, God.
Me. And he very kindly, instead of saying, "What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What are you talking about? You fucking stupid kid." He said, "Well, you know what? I've always found that acting is most compelling when it's one person talking to another person. So I think what you've been doing here has been great. You know, you get into a production and then you get the you get to talk to other people, and that's really what's compelling about the theater. I like, And I just dismissed it. It was like, whatever.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah. Okay. We'll agree to disagree, Dick.
Oh,
And I
great.
probably did. But anyway, so when I was graduating, I wanted to either I wanted to give it a shot. So I went to him and I said he still let me in his office, and I said, so if I wanted to be an actor, what would I do? Would I go to New York? Is it just walk around and try and get discovered, or audition, or what would I do? He said, well, what I would do if I were you is I would audition for all the professional training programs. Like there's Yale and there's NYU and there's Juilliard and there's And I said, oh, okay, well, how do you do that? And then he showed me something I could fill out to get into the to do an audition, to get into the auditions that got you. You had to do an audition to get an audition to any of those schools. And then once you got an audition for those upper level schools, you would go there and audition. So that's what happened. I went to and I ended up going to NYU, to the Tisch School of the Arts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
Great
I
school.
lasted there a year and a half. And then I decided I can't do this anymore. I got to get out there and decide, see if it's going to be a reality. So I left. That's when I got the job at the Shakespeare Festival.
Wow.
Delacorte Theater.
Great.
Okay.
Did that
With the wigs and the bald
the
top.
wigs and bald and the kid with the shaved his head.
Right.
and then after that I just sort of, they took some pity on me over at the Shakespeare Festival. They'd give me understudying jobs because I was having a baby. Like 26, having a baby with my girlfriend, who then became my first wife, and we ended up having 3 kids together in quick succession. Don't fucking ask me why. That's how fucking crazy I was. And by then I'm also drinking a lot.
Oh,
Drinking
yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
This is late 70s at this point?
No. I was in high school. I went to
Oh God.
So I'm in. No, this is
Like just out of
mid '80s.
college?
This is mid '80s.
Mid-eighties,
okay.
Mid
Got it.
'80s. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Early to mid '80s.
Right.
Okay.
I'm having 3 kids and drinking a lot and acting a lot. Somehow, it was just part of the actor's life in New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah.
You just like, you drink.
This is in New York too.
This is in
right?
New York. Yeah. You
yeah.
drink, you
The
act, you
80s in
drink,
New York.
you
I
are.
couldn't even imagine.
Yeah,
how
yeah.
crazy that must have been.
I didn't really get into the Coke thing so much. I mean, I kind of did.
Yeah.
But I
think everyone kind of.
No. Excuse me. I didn't kind of get into it. I got into it, but I didn't get into it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. But I wasn't like, I had.
He wasn't Sam Kinison, he's saying.
Right.
No, I wasn't Sam Kinison.
I look forward to the phone call tomorrow about. Remember that part where I talk about all the cocaine? Can we cut that?
No. I was just, by then I was just a drinker, and when you added Coke,
Yeah.
Sure.
it was,
Oh, yeah.
it was.
Look, the
No
80s
one
was
knew.
that was a
no,
crazy
I didn't
time.
know.
And nobody
I
knew.
didn't know where my car was going to be, or how I was going to get home, or who I was going to be with, or
Sure,
I remember we used to call the Versateller machines where you would put your card in and get money, because those all came about at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are too young to remember
That's
that.
a
but-
dangerous.
I remember when ATMs sort of came out. I was
Oh,
like
you
in
do?
junior high school.
Okay. We used to
It's a
call
dangerous combination.
we used to call them Coke machines. Yeah. So
I had
anyway.
never heard that.
So when did you get
Wow.
into TV and film? Because you were doing
Okay,
theater there
so
in
I'm
New
doing
York.
theater
and
in New
then-
York. I get into a production of True West in New York.
Sam Shepard.
God.
Very nice.
Sam
Amazing.
Shepard, not only Sam Shepard, but sort of the seminal production of True West that
Oh wow.
done by John. The actors were Gary Sinise and John Malkovich.
Oh,
wow.
so the
My
Steppenwolf
God.
Theater Company.
Yeah, they had
version.
brought that
Wow.
production to New York. That was like their first production that they brought to New York.
Yeah.
That was their bridge into New York.
That is
Were you
amazing.
in that production?
I had an agent at the time. He goes, "So can I do anything for you?" Oh, I submitted to him. He brought me in to have an interview, and he said, "Oh, you seem like a nice kid. What can I do for you?" And I said, "You could submit me as the general understudy over at True West, because I had just seen True West. Fucking blew my mind.
Great
God.
play.
Blew
If you haven't seen it,
my mind." And that is the seminal production.
Yeah.
And it's, you can find it on
Yeah.
PBS. It's black and white, I think, and
Mhm.
it's just like a videotaping of the production.
yeah.
But it's well, no,
But
it's
it's worth
more.
checking
It's more
out.
than that. They have different angles and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That play
So-
and Hurley Burley are the two that I was obsessed with in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
always wanted to do.
so I got the job. I went over there, and they said, the producers I remember said, "Have you seen the production?" I said, No. I'm familiar with the play, but I had totally seen the production like 5 days earlier, and I'm a pretty good mimic. So I got up there, and I did like a pretty spot on John Malkovich,
Oh, wow.
and they're like, "Holy fuck!" They're the two producers. They're like, "Holy fuck! You haven't seen the show?" I'm like, "No. This is just my interpretation of the part." Or so, I don't know what I said. And they're like, "Fuck!" So they hired me.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What a
Like, this guy's got
genius.
great
to
instincts.
come,
Wow.
Oh my God, he and Malkovich have the same sort of instincts, and so I
Brilliant,
understudied
brilliant.
both brothers
Mhm.
and the producer. So I had to know the
Man.
entire play, and then when one guy was sick, shortly after that, they both left, and new people started coming in. They started bringing in actors from L.A. to keep the
Right.
show going, like Quaid,
Dennis Quaid?
and Randy Quaid.
Yeah.
Randy Quaid.
Oh, they had them both in together?
Yeah, they playing the brothers, and
Oh,
it
that's
was
awesome.
quite
Oh,
it was a great
God.
production. It was a great production, and then
Wow.
they had then they brought in so they did it together, and I did both. And when one of them was sick or too coked out, I would do the other part. So I was,
Oh,
and they're
what a trip.
they're basically the same character.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just two sides of the same person.
Right.
And so I did that. And this is like, I've been out of school now for 2 years. So out of acting school. So this is like the best acting training
Mhm.
one
Oh,
could
yeah.
imagine.
Oh my God! Outrageous.
Yeah. And then,
Wow.
so then they left, and they didn't have, they were bringing in one actor, Gary Cole.
Mhm.
Oh, I love Gary Cole.
Yeah.
He's great.
Gary-
From Office Space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a gajillion other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's Lumberg on Office Space, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, Gary and I did it. He did it for a while. Oh, they brought in him and Jim Belushi, and he did it with Jim.
Jesus.
Wow.
And Jim did like the Second City version of,
Yeah.
of Lee.
How was
Yeah.
Jim to work with?
I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. All right.
But then then Jim did leave eventually. I like Jimmy. Jimmy's a good guy. Jimmy's a great guy. My only Jimmy story out is he said one night really offhandedly to me, yeah, don't schedule anything for Sunday night. This is like Wednesday. He said it real quick. Yeah, don't schedule anything, meaning be ready to go on Sunday night.
Sure.
But he said it Wednesday, but I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that. So Saturday night, I went out and I got totally fucking shit-faced, drunk, high, whatever. And then Sunday rolls around, and I'm kind of just like I'm having a couple of beers, hair of the dog. I'm having a cheeseburger, fries, like just trying to fill up just trying to pass out from food and a couple of beers and just
Right.
just fucking pass out and start tomorrow. I basically had canceled the day, and I was just like, and I remember we were at kind of a cookout at some friends' houses, and I was just like, oh, yeah. Maybe I probably back then it probably took me like 6 beers to get back to like ground zero.
Wow.
So I
Right.
probably had 6 beers and a burger and fries and just, and I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to get to bed. But I got to check in at the theater just to make, you usually just check in and
Right.
you go, no, you're all clear. You're all clear, because 90% of the time you're all clear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Jim's not here. You got to go on. I was like, what? Anyway, I had to go on that night with a belly full of, still hungover, blah, blah, blah. And it was such a good experience because I could not act. I could not act. And it's just really interesting when you take a young actor's ability to act out of the equation, because that's all we know. Because we don't know really how to tell the truth succinctly yet through
Yeah.
we don't know how to do that. We don't trust ourselves enough to do that. So you're always like, and I couldn't act, and it was one of the better performances I ever gave.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Just stripped it all down to
Interesting.
the essentials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that play, I mean, there was so much violence in that play. People got hurt all the time. There was
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you remember? Did you see the?
Yeah,
I have not seen it.
They
Oh, there-
trashed the entire apartment.
I mean, there's so much violence, and there's toast, and you're rubbing fucking burnt toast in the other guy's face. You have to do it in a certain way because toast can really fuck up your face. Oh, it was
Yeah.
just Malkovich and Sinise had created this thing where
Jesus.
Yeah.
it was just violent.
It's basically
violent.
it's about two brothers who kind of despise each other.
Yeah.
Writing a screenplay together.
because they're thrown into this situation. You guys
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
to read the
Yeah.
play, or
Yeah.
And check out the PBS
I
version of
would.
it with Malkovich.
I would.
It is tremendous.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll look for that.
I remember Gary telling a story about Malkovich where Malkovich would grab him. Malkovich was the big brother. He was the little brother.
Yeah.
And Malkovich had established in rehearsal that he would, in order to drag Lee, Gary's character, across the stage, he would reach into his mouth with this finger and just like pull him across the stage by the roof of his mouth, like
Yeah.
Oh,
Fish hook there.
yeah, like that. Like now,
Jesus.
it was crazy. And I remember Gary saying, "Yeah, I remember going to John and saying, John, I'm getting all these fucking sores in my mouth. Can you figure out another way to pull me across the stage?" And I guess Malkovich was just like, how else am I supposed to do it? You know, like there was only one way. There was only one way.
Oh
So anyway,
my
so Gary and
God.
John left, and then I took over John's part.
Mhm.
You know, they finally put me on the marquee, put my name up there, and,
Oh
and Gary and I,
my
and we
God.
became best friends and are best friends as a result of that till today.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
He's incredible too.
That's
so,
amazing.
did you? How did you jump from that to Hill Street Blues? Was Hill Street Blues the first?
No,
or-
so they called me. I auditioned for a movie in New York playing a hockey player.
was it an after-school special?
No,
Was
it wasn't. It was a
wasn't
play
after
called
school.
Touch and Go with Michael
Oh, it was
Keaton.
a play.
Oh,
No,
no, it was a movie.
It was a
Yeah.
movie called
That
Touch and
was-
Go.
I remember
They
that.
came and went. It was pretty awful, but they auditioned a bunch of guys to play this one character, the character of Levesque, and the actors in New York kept saying, "Yeah, I can play hockey. Yeah, I can play," because this guy needed to play hockey.
Right.
This character, and then they'd get him out there. They'd fly them out there. They'd put him up in a hotel, and the actor couldn't
Can't
skate.
skate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kept auditioning guys, and then they called me and they said, "Can you meet at the sky rink and skate for our blah 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 guy?"
Mhm.
So I did, and that's how I got the job. So I flew out to do this movie, and while I was out there, my LA agents who were with my New York agents said, "You know, we auditioned for a couple of things for us," and I did Hill Street Blues, and then when you're an actor from New York, they just at that age they just put you on every television show as the bad guy.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
you just cycle through every show.
Because you had a pretty big role in Hill Street Blues as a rapist.
it was a two-parter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a legendary show. Stephen Bochco,
Yeah,
one of
well,
the
at
first.
the time, like you got it was like the biggest show on
That
television.
was-
Yeah, no, it's
I
enormous.
think I saw something not too long on I think I was watching CNN, and they had this thing about sort of like the history of prestige television. They talked about that being like one of the landmark shows. It's
Yeah.
like the first
Yeah.
network show where the quality was as good as what you could go see in a movie.
Right. That
Right.
was
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Bochco went on to do L.A. Law and NYPD Blue and all. I mean, everything amazing. Everything he's
Everything
done.
touched with gold.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Even Cop Rock was fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
And
really
a very
was a good
nice
show.
and a very nice man. I was with him on a plane, and a really nice guy. Recently,
Really?
recently, where I got to say, "Hey, my first job on television was with you, with your show, Hill Street Blues." He was like, "Oh my god!" He was really, really sweet.
Oh, that's so
that's cool.
great.
Oh,
I saw
as-
him
as,
speak at commencement once at Carnegie Mellon when I was there.
Oh,
One of the
wow.
years he came back because that's where he went to school.
As opposed to, I had this experience the other day. Who's that little? Oh, I'm gonna forget his name. What's his name? Who's the dicky producer with the spiky hair? Who is
Brian Grazer?
Brian Grazer.
Mhm.
So I was having dinner with a buddy of mine. Oh no, we were in New York at the upfronts for Angie Tribeca, which I'm sure
Okay.
we'll get to.
Which
Yeah.
we'll
Recently.
get to.
We'll get
It's-
to. Well,
yeah.
So, and I got in an elevator with one of my co-actors from that show, and I get in, and Brian Grazer's there, standing there with some of his people, and my buddy Hayes MacArthur is standing there too, and I look and I'm like, it's Brian Grazer. I go, "Hey, whoa, Brian, I'm Jere Burns. I did one of the first movies I ever did was with your company, Greedy. He Greedy, and he's like, oh God. Oh God! Oh, that was such a horrible movie. I mean, what a fucking douchebag! Crowded elevator. I'm like, I swear to God, he was like, oh my God! And I'm like, Brian, come on! Kirk Douglas was in it. Michael J. Fox, me, Ed Begley, Colleen Camp. He's like, oh, God.
Oh, God. That's
I'm like, oh,
amazing.
Brian, come on, Brian.
What's
wrong?
shitty?
Oh, what a fucking tool.
Oh,
so
I love that you're trying to sell him on this movie.
I know that he produced.
did.
And I'm like, and so like cut to 2 weeks later, Hayes and I are having lunch or dinner, a little quick dinner at the Chateau. Like my second time at the Chateau. Don't think I'm the guy that goes to the Chateau a lot.
That's all right.
But
Sure.
Hayes suggested it. We had to be somewhere right next to there. So he said, yeah, let's go to Chateau. I'm like, fine. So we go to the Chateau, and he goes, your buddy's over there. And I look, and there's Brian Grazer. And I'm like, dude, you have got to film this. I'm going over there.
Yes.
I'm going to go over there,
Yes.
but you got to film it because no one's going to believe it. He's like, dude, I'm not going to. And I'm like, you're such a fucking pussy. You're such a fucking pussy.
That's amazing.
I should have just gone over by myself so he could watch from a distance.
It's me from Greedy.
Hey, Brian, remember? Jere Burns. I starred in your movie Greedy, remember? How fun was that? Oh my gosh, you're such a fun guy. He's full of so much life and love. You fucking tool.
Oh, that's the best thing
Oh,
I've
that's so
ever
funny.
heard.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right.
All right. Well, we have a bunch of stuff we got to get
Please,
through.
I'm sorry.
I've
taken up so much boring time.
No, you're the
I
best.
should
Amazing.
leave
wanna
now. I
hit-
should leave now.
No, don't leave.
Please don't.
All right. You did.
Okay, I just one thing. I don't want to talk about any of the television.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
I just really want to talk about the theater in my early years.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Before we get to this, and I do want to hit this. You did Hairspray on Broadway.
I
right?
did. Yeah.
Who did you play in?
I played Wilbur.
the dad.
Yeah,
right?
the dad. It's so much fun.
Best.
Oh
who
my
was
God.
your wife?
My wife was an actor named Paul Vogt.
Oh, from Mad TV.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
I was because as I was saying it, I'm like,
God.
no one, they're not going to know who Paul.
Oh,
and
I
then
know
I'm looking, and then I look around, I'm like, these guys are going to know who
we
Paul
know
is.
who it is.
Yeah.
That was a great. Who was directing? Who was the lead girl in that one when you guys did? Who was the main girl?
God, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
When did you do the show? Was it the revival or was it the like?
No, it was on Broadway.
Yeah.
But it was one of the later casts.
Amazing.
But
Amazing.
it was such a great experience. I saw a play called Urinetown.
Oh my God!
You see Urinetown?
I got a story for you. You're not going to believe.
Okay.
it. So I did a show on Broadway. I was
fuck outta
yeah. So
here.
I played Shrek.
You've trod the boards?
Oh well, no, sort of. Here's how this worked. Jeffrey Katzenberg, David Geffen, and Sam Mendes
Yeah.
produced Shrek the musical on
Yeah,
Broadway.
no, I remember.
Okay, so I played Shrek in Shrek the musical for all the readings and all the Broadway workshops,
Motherfuckers.
all the way up until 2 months before the show opened, and then they replaced me with Brian Darcy James. That's how that went down.
They replaced the entire cast.
They replaced no.
Yeah.
They replaced a few people,
Okay.
and I was one of the guys
Yeah.
that they.
Wait
they
a minute.
dropped.
So you're a Broadway actor.
I'm a Broadway musical theater actor. Yes,
I didn't know. And still you are?
I still am. I went out and
that's
and
great.
worked with Mel Brooks a little bit on Young Frankenstein for like a couple days. I went out and hung out with him, and then he helped me get my. This is a weird story, but he kind of helped me secure being a series regular on Nickelodeon because
On what show?
I was on Big Time Rush on Nickelodeon. It was a boy
great.
band show, and so he knew that, they were gonna make me like a reaccurring on
Yeah.
the show, and
Yeah.
so he wanted me to come and do like a understudy as the monster and a couple other characters on
He
it.
plays strictly monsters on Broadway.
Yes, a lot
Just
of
weird,
monsters.
crazy
And
Not
how
only
did you
for
know? How
monsters.
did you know Mel Brooks initially
So
for him to?
Mel's son, Max Brooks, is married to my cousin, Michelle.
Oh,
So
good.
we actually, the three of us.
And by the way, this is when he said keep your Sunday clear reminded me one time Steven tells us, he's like, hey, keep your Sunday clear. I've got something we're going to do. And we're like, okay.
And this is how good friends they are. They didn't ask what it was. They just said, okay.
Okay.
Clear.
And he said,
unlike,
dress nice.
unlike me.
He said, dress
put on a
nice.
suit.
That's all he said. So put
And-
on a suit.
And keep in mind, that's knowing that other times he said keep Sunday
It's
clear.
been awful.
And it was like,
It's been a nightmare.
this place has the fish tacos.
Yeah.
I've never tried
Stuff
fish
like that.
tacos.
Yes.
And it's like, oh,
So-
thanks.
I go, I pick him up. I pick Mike up. We pick up our friend David Cade.
Yeah.
And we drive down to Costa Mesa from Hollywood.
Yeah.
The whole way, we're just like, so what are we doing? He's like, don't worry. It's going to be good. You're going to like it. So we go down to Costa Mesa. We get down there, and he's like, wait here. I'm going to go get tickets. Comes back. And then he comes back with tickets. He's like, we're going to see Blazing Saddles with 3,000 people in the Performing Arts Center. Then we're going to see Mel Brooks speak on stage about making the movie. Then we're going backstage to meet Mel Brooks. And we're like, all right, I'm glad I kept my Sunday open.
This was
Right.
wise.
Wow.
You delivered.
So we all hung out in the
Now
dressing
wait a minute,
room
but
and
you guys wore suits?
yeah, we
Yeah.
all dressed
Oh,
up. We
yeah.
all wore
That's
suits.
nice.
And we all went backstage and we sat down with Mel
Aw.
in the green room and just hung out the
What a
Terrific man.
4 or 5 of us and talked about
His office-
things.
It's like meeting the Pope of comedy. When you
Yeah.
think
Of course
about
it
it.
is.
He's
Of course
the
it is.
sweetest.
Well,
guy.
and us in suits looked like the Three Stooges preparing for a date. It was like,
Yeah.
we may as well have had bowler hats and like flowers and stuff. You know.
it was embarrassing.
His office is right next to our offices on the Sony lot of Justified, and he was a huge Justified fan.
Oh, he's so great.
And
Yeah,
rightly so.
He's so great.
He said him and Carl only they get together like
Once a week,
once
right?
a week or
Yeah.
couple times a week, and
Yeah.
they sit and they watch all the NYPD shows, like all the CSI shows.
Oh,
That's
they
the only,
do?
They love that stuff, and they love
Wow.
sitting together and watching like thriller movies. You know, like scary, not
Right.
scary movies, but like someone's been kidnapped.
God
kind
love
of
them.
ransom
God
things,
love
and
them.
God, they're the best. They're the coolest.
Wow.
So yeah, when I was out there doing the workshop and all that jazz, just the timing of how much work, like working on one of those shows is like, it's insane. You know, it's early morning and it's late. It's like not like TV where you have so much time to
What
sit
show?
around. And
What
when I was working on the Shrek musical,
Yeah.
the amount of time that I was there, I mean, I was there like 9-10 hours a day, and 9-10 hours a day I did not stop moving and running
Yeah.
around like a crazy
That's
person.
a workshop, though.
Yeah, that's a lot
yeah.
of work.
Like when you get hired to go in, like
do it.
me,
Yeah.
I just rehearse all day during the rehearsal till the 8 days of rehearsal that they give you, and then like the first time you sing or dance with the orchestra is your first night on stage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you're doing
Oh,
8
yeah.
shows a week.
Then you're doing 8 shows a week. It's
I just feel
yeah.
like that's so much more intense than doing a comedy TV show, doing a funny show.
Totally.
I mean, yeah.
That's what I love about it. It's like I mean, don't get me wrong. Wilbur was such an easy part. You had that song at the beginning of the second act that always got an encore,
Yeah.
and you came on and off stage and just did funny stuff. And
So
and I
close.
had the luxury of having Paul, who was he and I really invested in having a relationship. You know, it wasn't like there was one big fat guy, speaking out of the corner of his mouth and, ad-libbing to the audience. We really played the characters of a married and of a couple who were really in love.
Did you go out and have
Yeah.
dinners together and go and spend time together
Paul
outside
and
of it?
I, a little, not a lot,
Yeah.
but I loved him.
Yeah.
Still do. But what did he do? I don't know. I
You
can't
kind of
really-
had to bond a little. In
Yeah.
between,
No, but we were that first week of rehearsal was intense, and then we hung. I shouldn't say we didn't hang. We
Yeah.
hung. We definitely hung.
Well, when I was doing Shrek, the guy who was playing Donkey was Dean Edwards, who was on SNL. And so
Edwards.
he was a cast member on
Yeah.
Saturday Night
I'm
Live.
trying
Very
to
funny
remember.
stand-up comedian. And every night, him and me would go out and do stand-up together. And and I was like,
I didn't know you did stand up.
Yeah. We all three
That's
of
how
us
we
do
know
stand-up.
each other.
Renaissance
We all-
man.
Yeah.
Man.
So they would get me. He'd get me into like all these comedy clubs and like help me get auditions and stuff for the clubs,
wow.
so that he could take me around with him. And then we just bonded so much.
Yeah.
Then doing a show together, playing best friends and stuff. It was like,
Yeah, I mean,
I love
Paul
that stuff.
Paul was gay,
yeah.
so I didn't have. We had nothing in common. There was nothing. There was no. I had to keep it. I had to be safe.
Right.
I had to be safe.
That's
Because
hysterical.
he would get handsy during the play. I wouldn't know what. No.
Am I acting right now? Am I?
Yeah, I didn't want to cross that line. I didn't feel safe with Paul. No, he was amazing, and he was very helpful to me because he had done the Vegas version of the show, so he knew the show.
Yeah.
So he had to watch. He was very patient with me and very helpful with me in terms of, guiding me through the songs and through. Yeah, it was just he was very patient
very
with
cool.
me. I mean, not that we had 8 days,
Yeah,
and
right.
my
Still,
son
yeah.
who was in law school at the time in New York would come because he's my kid. He was very sweet. He'd come to like every performance for the first week, and even 4 shows into it, at the end of the play, walking home, he said, "You don't really know that dance at the end of the play yet, do you?"
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
"No, I still don't," because you
Oh
don't.
my
There's
God.
that closing
Yeah.
number was just like the biggest closing number in the history of closing numbers, and it was okay for Wilbur to kind of like bounce around. And,
Sure.
But anyway,
Yeah.
but I killed it at the end.
All right, Matt, do you want to talk? You want to talk about Dear John?
I have to talk about Dear
Go
John.
for
All right.
it. All right,
I
go.
was begging you to try to get Jere Burns on the show for like 2 months
I know.
so we could talk about Dear John.
What do you want to know?
It's such a good show that is overlooked, I think, by people. It's not one that, like, my 4 years of high school were the 4 years that show ran. And I watched it when I was in high school, and I didn't get it. Like, it was on, I didn't watch it, but I didn't care.
Mhm.
As an adult watching that show, I look back and I'm like, this show is fucking brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
It's so good. Like, just the whole, like, the Judd Hirsch and his character, and you got, like, Ralphie, who's like a sad sack.
Right.
And, the characters assembled on there are so funny as caricatures of types of people
Yeah.
that you meet.
Yeah.
I mean, so going through that show,
Yeah.
you have legendary director Hal Cooper,
Yeah.
right, who did
Right.
Maude,
Right.
which is another great show.
Right.
Back then, he did Taxi, I think, with Judd Hirsch, right? Is that how he came over?
No, I don't think he did Taxi.
Okay.
He was not in the Judd. He and Judd were not allied. The guy that
okay.
created the show,
Peter Berg?
Peter Berg.
Was he?
No.
He might have been
The guy that created the show was Ed Weinberger.
Ed Weinberg. Okay.
Yeah. No, Peter Berg was like 18 years old.
Okay.
I'm starting to
No,
think you
he's a-
never watched this
I
show.
don't watch
No.
the credits of the show. I watch the show.
No, so Ed Weinberger. No, Peter wasn't 18 years
Yeah.
old. But so no, Ed Weinberger, and then Ed was just too difficult for certain members of the studio or whatever. He's a crazy genius, and they decided it was still his show. I mean, he still made all the money from it, but they brought in Hal Cooper and his partner.
I was thinking
Rod
Peter Noah.
Rod
is the name I was
Parker.
thinking
Oh,
of.
Peter Noah. Yeah. And Peter was sort of the voice of reason when Ed
Mhm.
was there. And then Peter, I think he stayed with us, but maybe not, during the Hal and Rod years. And we only lasted like
It's 4 seasons.
4
right?
seasons,
Yeah.
yeah. But we could have gone on for a long time, but they kept changing our time slot.
Yeah.
And so you
Got
never
passed around. You
didn't
couldn't
know
get momentum with
Yeah, you
that.
never knew when we were
And then
on.
that show was an adaptation of a British show.
Yes.
And did you study the British version?
No,
of
I didn't
any
look
of
at
that
it at all.
or-
No.
Okay. And then your character, like when you first read a Kirk Morris scene, right? Like, how does that strike you as an actor? Like, you read this and it's just such a slime ball, basically, is sort of what they're playing him up as. But he's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just, I mean, I think I've ended up playing people who are slimy or cruel or weird, and I think I've been able to. I don't do it consciously, but somehow they become likable. Like, except for
No,
Except for Mike.
you were very likable.
Except for Mike.
I just felt you had a karmic
you're
debt.
dead. You're dead to me, Mike. You're dead to me.
Unjustified.
You're dead to me.
Unjustified.
So I've been lucky to to find characters
Yeah,
who are
'cause there
on
was,
the
like-
surface repulsive, but then find the lovability in
Like,
them.
there's episodes where, like, Judd Hirsch breaks up with you as a friend.
Yeah.
And there's people like they
So
stop talking to you,
great.
and it's like a thing where he's asking you. You're at dinner at Kate's restaurant on the scene,
Oh.
and he's like, "So when you break up with a girl, what do you do?" And you're like, "Oh, I give her flowers, I kiss her on the forehead, I say I wasn't meant to be, and I push her off." And he's like trying to break up with you as a friend, and finally he's like, "Hey, flower guy," and he gives you some flowers, kisses you on the head, and he's like, "It's time for you to go."
Oh my
It's like he does,
God.
and it's just so.
But I
well
don't
done, like
remember.
the-
But I don't get it. Right? Do I get it? Or maybe I?
no,
maybe it
at
takes
first
a,
you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it takes and then I'm crestfallen
yeah.
and been
'Cause it's-
heartbroken
You're
beyond
in a
belief.
room with these people, and they all hate you, but they tolerate you, like
Right.
your
Right.
cohorts on the show. Which
So
is
you're saying he got his comeuppance on this show?
well, not really, because here's the thing: he always finds a way to win because there was a whole thing how he would never share anything with the group. Like his character was very closed off. They're in a support group and you're supposed to share experiences, and he would never tell them anything about his own life.
Or I'd make a joke of it.
He'd make a joke, and he'd always be like, "Oh, I'm in the CIA and I was a spy or whatever." And there's one episode where finally you hire like a helicopter to come, and you go out the window on a rope ladder on a helicopter to fly off to go fight the bad guys, and they were just like, what the hell just happened? Like you are always
I'm talking.
you
I'm
always
saying,
find a way to win.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love that show. It's so good.
People reference that. People reference that, me climbing out the window and onto the rope ladder.
Yeah.
But it was all preceded by.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's like, "What's going on?" The
Everything's
whole building's
shaking,
starting to shake, and then a rope ladder, and the wind's coming
Comedy
in.
gold.
Leaves
Yeah, it was
are
well done.
coming in.
Helicopters are
Like, do you-
comedy gold.
Do you remember any like favorite Kirk Morris lines from that show? Does anything like stick in you? Like, oh, this was something that was really funny.
Although I do remember the there was a scene where I had a can of pheromones that I was convinced that if I sprayed this pheromone spray on me, the chicks would just be drawn to me. But we got a container of, like, it was so high pressured that every time I'm laughing now. We talk all about the pheromones. I said, these guys we're all in a group. The whole cast is in a group, and we're at a dance, and they're like, "What are you using, Kirk?" I'm like, "I got some pheromone spray. I'm really gonna kill it with the babes tonight." and they're like, "Okay, Kirk, all right, whatever you got." And then a little buzzer goes off, and I go, "Oh, time for my treatment." And I pull out this thing and I shake it up, and
it just.
And it sprays. It's such a high pressure spray that my face goes back like I'm in a fight, like I'm in a wind tunnel.
Yeah.
Just like,
Oh my God.
my skin's going back, and they all have to just stand there like this. We had to do it so many fucking times.
I remember that episode.
No one could not break, and then we had to have 5 people not break at the same time. Like 4 could make it through, but one person would go. Then that person would go, and then everyone would go. I mean, we were there all night, and the audience laughed at it every fucking time.
Yeah.
So that I remember.
One of my favorites was there was a Christmas episode, and you were supposed to pick up like candy that you were going to put in these Christmas baskets to give away to like impoverished kids or whatever.
Right.
And then like you screwed up and you wasted all the money, whatever, because Kirk's always doing that.
Yeah.
Right. And then he comes in, and he's like, "Hey, sorry I'm late. I was out doing a little caroling." And some Monica-ing and some Kathleen-ing.
No.
It's just like, it was just so funny. He'd always do the motion with your arm every time.
Yeah. But that one, I think that one was also in that episode was I lost the money, or I spent the money, so all I could get was Halloween decorations. And so we walk into the room. You know, it's one of those scenes where you walk into the room with them, you flick on the lights, and then it's just festooned with
stuff.
cornucopia and autumn leaves. And I go, "Wow, it's beginning."
Great.
No, I go, "It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas."
You know what I love? One of the things I love so much about like present day is that, and the way that things are with television and movies and stuff, is that you can actually go and watch this show right now.
Yeah.
It's hard to find though. If you don't watch it late at night,
you can get it on Antenna TV. And you can get
what
it
about
on,
YouTube?
It's not on
What
Netflix.
about YouTube?
On
YouTube,
YouTube, there's some rips,
Yeah,
but
there's some
it's
stuff
like
on
really
there.
bad quality because I've looked for it on there,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's like some on there, but it's not real good, and there's like a few clips, but it's not. Like, you can't find the whole series. Like, you can't just go to Netflix and watch it.
Look, when I was a kid, I remember taking a special trip to the Museum of Radio and Television so I could watch Greatest American Hero and watch an episode of what's it called, of Kids in the Hall that I couldn't find anymore because there were no DVDs to go get stuff. There was
YouTube wasn't around.
YouTube wasn't around, and it's but right now it's like you can have new fans right now of shows that have been canceled for 40 years. Like that's fascinating.
Absolutely.
It's bananas.
I'm
love
one of
it.
those people all the time. Like, watch a lot of old TV shows.
Yeah.
And I watch so much Johnny Carson now, way more than I ever did when he was on. Like, I watch
know.
it all the time.
You know, now he got me into watching Johnny Carson, and so I watch, and then we use it for our stuff that we're working on. But,
I know. I was going like this because Johnny always had the ashtray just out of frame.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
right,
it-
yeah.
It was
kinda-
funny. They show everything from like the early 70s up through when he retired, and you can see the smoking get less and less and less depending on the year that it's in. Like if it's like 1985, you don't see a cigarette anywhere. If it's 1974, he's just smoking away, puffing away in the chair.
Right.
Well, listen, we do have to wrap up shortly, but there are a couple small things I want to just throw in there real
Yes.
quick. Number one, Max Headroom, we mentioned earlier, one of the greatest, weirdest.
That's when I
So
wish it was on
ahead of
Netflix.
its time.
Yeah.
So ahead of its time, yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
A television show about the decline of television or the
Right.
evil of television. Yeah.
Yeah, loved it. Amazing. We were doing a little Googling. You played yourself on the TV show Blossom. Is that a real thing? Did that really happen?
I think no, I did not play myself because I wasn't really anyone at the time. I think I played. Oh, maybe I did play myself. Maybe I did play myself.
Just a weird credit. I just saw it. I was like, he played
'Cause that was-
himself. on
Maybe I
Blossom.
crossed over into their show.
It might have been there was like an NBC show at
Yeah, I
the same
think it
time
was-
as Dear John.
Yeah. Would he
Yeah.
come over and just play himself? I may have been playing my character, or maybe I was playing me. I don't know. I don't
How weird
remember.
is that?
And just say, whoa.
Yeah, we're
No.
we're all big fans of Bob with Bob Newhart.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which you were on.
Wow.
Which is is there footage out there of it that
Probably
people
some.
can find on YouTube?
It was a different. Bob Newhart had such successful shows before that where he played like a really nice guy, and then he does this show where he's not really a nice guy, and it was such a weird turn.
That put his career.
Yeah.
That put his TV sitcom career to bed.
That's
Yeah.
insane. Because
Yeah.
he's amazing.
He's a legend. I mean, he
I
was
know.
fantastic on those
Yeah,
other shows.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
And then of course
Burn Notice.
Burn Notice,
Love
there's
Burn
all
Notice.
like there's Burn Notice, Bates Motel, Breaking Bad,
Now, Breaking Bad, you go on and you play essentially a drug counselor.
Yeah.
On there, and
Yeah.
well, you've been sober now for 16 years.
Yeah,
Something
how'd
like
you know
Something like I read it the other day.
Really? That's
mean,
online.
It was on Jimmy Pardo's podcast.
Oh,
and he
okay.
talked
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it
yeah,
and whatever.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and that means
That
it
would
came
be.
out.
It was 16 September 26th.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Mazel tov.
Registan.
Uh,
I didn't do anything but.
You
give
were
up.
also in Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles around the same time you got sober. So is that rock bottom? That movie? Is that
Good grief! How the fuck that? Wow!
right?
Holy shit!
That's
I mean,
not
no.
a question, It's an indictment,
It
man.
is.
No.
Have you seen Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles? It should be indicted. That's
No, I mean it wasn't. It had nothing to do with that movie or any. It
But it's that
didn't have
era.
anything to do with those people. It had to do with my state of mind, and I think and that was wow.
I'm
I
sure
could tell-
that helped.
That'll be the next podcast. Will the next time I'll give you the story.
because that movie has a great story about how the writer of it, one of the writers, Matthew Berry, is now best known as the fabulous Mr. Roto on ESPN, where he's a fantasy football expert. That's what he does now.
Wow.
But he wrote that movie,
Wow.
and I heard him tell the story on Howard Stern, where he talked about how when he wrote that movie, Paul Hogan came in and he rewrote the movie, and then he tried to get Matthew Berry and his writing partner taken off as writers, saying it was a brand new script, and they were just going to get a story by credit. They had to go to the Guild to get their credits restored, and they said what he would do is he would change stuff like, "Hey, you, get out of here," to like, "Hey, mate, get out of here," and he'd be like, "Oh, it's a totally new line. Like that's a totally different movie now."
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a skeezy thing. To
Yeah.
fucking
He was not a
Easy.
fan of Paul Hogan. That guy.
No, I know.
Before we go, I gotta ask because I have friends who'll break my legs if I don't.
Yes, of course.
Do you have any stories from during Burn Notice with Bruce Campbell?
No.
None. Okay.
No, Bruce was
So
a nice
I
guy.
asked.
No.
I asked everyone, and
no, he's a-
he had no stories.
No, journeyman, working hard actor. Yeah.
We love Bruce
Yeah.
Campbell so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I just saw him at Comic-Con on his
He's
panel
great.
for Ash.
Doesn't
versus
he have
Evil
some big thing going on now? What
He's
did-
doing
Ash
Evil
versus
Dead
Evil
now.
Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
right,
show.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the star of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I just saw him at Comic-Con. He
I'm
did
happy
his panel
for.
it. It
I'm
was
happy
great.
for him.
I was just over at I was at Warner Brothers when they were starting to tape the Muppets show, and I got to go and check out that set, and that was
That's so cool, right?
amazing. And you were so great on that show.
Oh,
that
thank
was
you.
Because your
so
daughter
awesome.
was dating Fozzie on
Yeah.
the show?
Yeah. I mean,
Hilarious.
I was like, oh God, do I have to? Because Bill Prady asked me to do it as a favor. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I want to do a favor for Bill, but I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, the Muppets. Oh God, I don't know. Acting with puppets. And then I got there, and it was just so fucking enchanting. And they're so good. Those puppeteers, and it was like you were like acting with a real actor. I mean, instead of a big sock, you didn't know it was a big sock. It was like those guys are amazing. It was so cool. I had an amazing time.
If you get a chance, see Puppet Up here in LA.
Yeah,
it sells out
it's
all
in
the
Vegas
time,
now.
but
See what?
Puppet Up
Puppet
is
Up.
is Brian Henson and all the puppeteers from the Jim Henson Company have their own weird original puppets, and
It's
then
like an improv.
they do improv,
But it's
on
for
stage.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
dirty.
Yeah.
Speaking of dirty,
Really funny.
and
Yes.
literally, I was stuck in San Diego on the beach in this weird hotel while my girlfriend was out doing some weird job that she was doing, and it happened to be the premiere of Angie Tribeca, and
When they showed like 20 hours in a row.
yeah,
I caught that. I caught all
Absolutely.
20 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was the
Genius.
binge-a-thon.
The marathon.
Yes, it was the binge-a-thon, and not only that, Kevin Riley, who's the president, is a fucking genius.
Yeah, right.
And he is so in touch with what great comedy and what great alt comedy is, because so much so that our dear friend Brent Weinbach and DJ Doug Pound, who have both been on the nighttime show live here at the Improv, they were Brent was just on it Saturday on the show.
Brent was.
Brent Weinbach was just on the show this past Saturday. They were both on in between episodes. They would show them and have them do like songs and weird bits and stuff on like the telethon thing. It was so funny. That show that
I remember
you're on,
those guys. Yeah.
that show that you are on is absolutely brilliant. It is the funniest, weirdest show. It pushes. It's like Naked Gun, like height. Where they
Have you seen the transition?
Second.
Have you seen the second season?
I've seen some of it.
Okay, because there's a transition that we're all pretty pleased with. I mean, there's a different look, there's a different palette, there's a different style. We brought the lights way down. We're putting in smoke. We're making it much more like a CSI.
Oh,
you know?
wow. That sounds awesome.
And we play it deadly serious. I mean,
awesome.
like we don't even acknowledge
the
that
trick.
there's a joke. Yeah,
you know,
yeah. It was a little tweak, and I think it really has made the show better.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, my dad raised me on comedy, like more than anything else. That was his thing, and his favorites were Airplane, Naked Gun. There was a show you might not remember called Sledgehammer.
I do.
Sledgehammer. Love Sledgehammer.
Yeah.
And when this marathon came on, I got about 5 minutes into the first episode, and I called my dad, and I was like, "Dad, you gotta put this show on."
Oh, good.
And he was like, "What is?" And he was like,
And he
"That
did?
doesn't sound like. What does that title mean?" And I was like, "Just put it on." And so
great.
he called me up the next day because he stayed up all night watching it. And he was like,
my
"Thank you so
gosh.
much for telling me about that."
Oh,
So yeah,
thanks, guys.
You guys nailed it.
Man, you really
Bringing
did.
families together.
And I write it. I write the whole thing. I write every episode.
He'll be thrilled.
Yeah, and I'm designing the
The
all
costumes
the clothes,
and everything.
all the
Yeah.
clothes.
He's an auteur.
When
Yeah.
you guys have, I mean, you have Dion Cole, and you've got everyone that works on that
Right.
show. I mean, Carell is so funny, and his wife is so funny.
Yeah.
Such a fantastic show. When can they watch it? When do the episodes air? Do you know?
So we're available on Hulu right now, the whole first season.
Right.
And then the second season is you can watch on TBS
Wow.
on Monday nights, or you can on demand it and just watch it at your leisure.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
I love it. You got to check it out.
So
Angie
funny.
Tribeca is so incredibly funny. And there's so many things that we wanted to talk to you about, after school specials and everything else that we want to talk to you about.
We'll have to come back.
Yeah, if you want to
Yeah.
come back, we'd love to have you
Anytime.
come back sometime. Where can people find you on
Can
Twitter?
we we just get another half hour of my early years?
I
though?
wanna do-
We'll
I
probably
don't know.
squeeze it in, actually.
Let's do 45 minutes.
No, I mean
next
now,
time.
and I meant now. No, not. Yes, I would love to come back. You guys rock.
You rock.
Thank you so much.
Where can people find you on the internet, on Twitter and things like that?
I guess I'm on Twitter. I don't really know how to do it.
He's on
very
Twitter.
well. I'm
It's
on
at Jere
Facebook.
Burns on
I-
Twitter.
Jere
Yeah,
Burns
yeah,
on
yeah.
Twitter.
Jere
I
Burns.
have.
Jere.
I have a. I guess I'm on Twitter, and I'm on the phone. I have a phone.
Wow,
Yeah, I have a
you have a phone?
smartphone.
You have
Yeah,
a
it works.
smartphone.
I can email with people. They can figure out what my email is.
There you
And
go.
I
You probably can. Be careful.
yeah.
That's amazing. Mike, where can people find you, buddy?
I'm mostly on Instagram at Mike Black Attack.
You can see
Yes.
lots of cool action figure pictures.
Yes, from Comic-Con.
I keep it real nerdy on there, so
You really,
make
really
sure
do.
to check it out.
No way.
Yeah.
You do not.
And,
Vaginas are drying up all over all over the world as
Dear
they hear about
God.
this.
Vaginas are drying up.
Matt.
You can check me out at
love that.
funnymatt.com, find links to everything there. Or if you don't like what I had to say, go to mattwalkersucks.com and let me know.
Yes, when people do. And then, of course, guys, the Nighttime Show Live, the next one is August 27th at the Hollywood Improv in Los Angeles.
10 p.m.
10 p.m. If you get a chance to come out to the show, it's always full of surprises. We had a
Gold medal
we
winner
had a-
Michaela Maroney.
was
last
on
time.
the last show, as
Yeah.
well as Mr.
gymnast?
Belding from
Wow.
Saved by the Bell. We had Belding on the show. as
And we had
well.
legendary comic Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen
How'd
was
you
on
get
the show.
Belding?
I just,
We know people.
You
it's a
know
weird-
people.
I know people. I know some
Jesus.
people in this town. A couple people.
Wow.
We
He had
get
to lock his family in the closet, but still.
I had to get. We got him. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube is at Stephen Glickman, STEPHEN Glickman. Thank you so much for checking out the Nighttime Show. And Jerry, you're a phenomenon, and being able to sit down with you and chat with you about your career.
Thank you,
is
guys. It was
insane.
really, really fun.
It's great.
My
Time
mom
flew.
loves you as well.
I love
You know,
her.
I know you do.
Give her my best.
Tell her yourself tomorrow night. Thanks, guys. Good night.